What's more dangerous than riding a motorcycle without a helmet? How about cramming three teenagers onto a tiny scooter built for one person, then zipping through traffic without licenses or protective gear? That's right, we've got a story about three boys who decided that safety laws were merely suggestions, only to discover that physics doesn't negotiate. Hello everyone, welcome to Wow Amazing. In this video, we will go through our Volume 18 of Top 10 Most Stupid Darwin Award Winners. But before we begin, we would like you guys to subscribe to Wow Amazing and hit the notification bell so you do not miss out on amazing and entertaining content that will surely get you amazed. Now get ready, because this volume is absolutely packed with tales that'll make you question humanity's survival as a species. Number 10. Duct tape disaster. Let's begin our countdown with a reminder that some materials have limits, especially when those materials are holding your boat together. It's April 24th, 2000 in Oregon, and Stephen has decided that the perfect day for fishing on the Columbia River has arrived. But there's a small problem. His 12-foot aluminum boat has passed better days. Not to worry though, because Stephen has a solution that many handymen swear by: duct tape. That's right. This miracle adhesive was responsible for multiple repairs on his vessel, including the critical motor mount. Duct tape might be able to fix anything, but perhaps Stephen should have asked himself if it should fix everything, especially when your life depends on it. The small boat was already pushing its limits, rated to hold only 200 pounds. Yet Stephen and his friend, along with their extensive fishing equipment, were putting a strain of more than 640 pounds on the tiny vessel. As fate would have it, the waters of the Columbia River weren't particularly calm that day. When they encountered rough water, Stephen made the fatal decision to stand up in the boat. Physics immediately took notice of this poor choice, and the overloaded duct-taped vessel quickly capsized, tossing both men and their equipment into the cold river water. When disaster strikes on the water, a life jacket can be your best friend, if it's the right size and properly secured. Unfortunately for Stephen, his life jacket was ill-fitting, rendering it nearly useless in the emergency. The U.S. Coast Guard mounted a rescue operation and managed to save Stephen's fishing buddy the following morning. But for Stephen, the combination of an overloaded boat, excessive duct tape repairs, and an improper life jacket proved fatal. So the next time you're tempted to repair important safety equipment with duct tape, remember our Oregon fishermen who learned the hard way that there are limits to what even this miraculous adhesive can accomplish. Number 9. Stone sleep. Sometimes a poor choice of sleeping location can be just as dangerous as more active forms of risk-taking, as our next Darwin Award recipient discovered. It's March 26, 2000 in South Carolina. Patricia and her boyfriend have been enjoying an evening of drinking and smoking marijuana at the King Charles Inn. Perhaps feeling overheated or simply wanting to enjoy the night air, they decided that the roof would make an excellent bedroom. With pillows and blankets in hand, the couple climbed over a guardrail and settled down for what they thought would be a peaceful night under the stars. The combination of alcohol and marijuana likely contributed to their deep sleep, completely unaware of the precarious position they were in. As the hours passed and dawn approached, Patricia shifted in her sleep. Without walls or barriers to stop her movement, she slid off the edge of the roof and fell to her death on Hazel Street below. When police arrived at the scene, they found a bizarre sight. Her boyfriend was still fast asleep on the roof, curled up in his blanket with his head on a pillow, completely unaware of the tragedy that had occurred. Authorities ruled the death accidental, but the Darwin Awards committee feels that the blame belongs squarely with the intoxicated woman who chose such a dangerous place to sleep. The moral of this story? When choosing a place to rest your head, walls and railings aren't just architectural features, they're life-saving barriers that are especially important when your judgment is impaired. Number 8. Trash chute tumble. They say one man's trash is another man's treasure, but for our next Darwin Award winner, a garbage disposal system became an impromptu amusement ride with fatal consequences. In July 2000, in Calgary, Canada, 25-year-old Sheldon and his friends were continuing their night out after spending the evening at a local bar. They found themselves in an apartment building where alcohol-fueled bravado led to a deadly dare. "Who wants to ride the in-house water slide?" one of them challenged. This so-called water slide was actually the building's garbage chute, a narrow metal tube designed to transport trash from the upper floors down to the collection area. Perhaps seeing it as an opportunity for an adrenaline rush, or maybe just too impaired to recognize the danger, Sheldon volunteered for the stunt. He climbed into the small opening and began his headlong descent. The 12-story fall was swift and unforgiving. Sheldon beat the standard elevator service down to the first floor, but what awaited him wasn't a soft landing or even a pile of garbage. Instead, he tumbled directly into an unforgiving trash compactor. His friends rushed down and administered CPR until emergency crews arrived at the scene, but their efforts were too late. The fall had already claimed Sheldon's life, bringing his evening of fun to a tragic conclusion. So next time you're looking for excitement, remember that some shortcuts in life, especially those designed for trash, are best left untraveled. Number 7, out with a bang. Our next Darwin Award winner proves that experience doesn't always equal good judgment, especially when basic science principles are involved. It's April 19th, 2000 in Montezuma, Georgia. A tire mechanic and his brother are working to repair a crack in a large tractor-trailer wheel rim. With years of tire repair experience, they should have been well-versed in the proper safety procedures. The job called for welding the cracked rim, a routine repair for experienced mechanics. But there was one critical step they neglected to take. They failed to deflate the massive tire before applying heat to the metal rim. Any high school chemistry student can tell you what happens when gas in a sealed container is heated. It expands, increasing the pressure. But somehow this fundamental principle escaped our experienced tire repairman. Despite warnings from both the shop manager and a customer present at the scene, Robert proceeded with the repair, torch in hand. As the heat from the welding torch warmed the metal rim, the air inside the tire began to expand. The pressure built steadily until the inevitable happened, a catastrophic explosion. When the 4-foot diameter tire blew, the rim separated from the axle with great velocity, striking Robert directly in the head and killing him instantly. The force was so powerful that it knocked a pickup truck off a nearby lift. The explosion was even heard at the local police station a full mile away. Following the incident, the Occupational Safety and Health Administration investigated and cited the tire and wheel company with fines. The owner contested the findings, stating they were both trained. The manager and the customer told him not to, but he did it anyway. This tragic story serves as a reminder that even experienced professionals need to respect the basic laws of physics. When it comes to pressurized containers, taking shortcuts can lead to dangerous explosions. Number 6, 3 clowns on a scooter. Now for a second, let's think about this. You're 15 years old and you don't have a driver's license. What should you do? Should you wait until you're old enough to drive legally? Or maybe ask an adult to drive you? Or should you squeeze 3 people onto a tiny scooter and ride through traffic without helmets? If you answered C, congratulations. You've thought like our next Darwin Award winners. It's June 24th, 2000 in Shizuoka, Japan. The streets are busy with traffic, including many 50cc scooters, small motorized vehicles designed for a single rider. Japanese law specifically prohibits riding double on these scooters, and violators face fines. But 3 15-year-old boys had a different interpretation of these rules. Perhaps they thought that if riding double was illegal, riding triple wasn't specifically mentioned in the law books. Or maybe they were just trying to save on transportation costs. Whatever their reasoning, they decided that all 3 would ride on a single tiny scooter. The fact that they managed to fit 3 people on a vehicle designed for one show, remarkable determination, if not intelligence. None of them possessed a license to drive any vehicle whatsoever, nor did any have the sense to wear a helmet, gloves, or any form of protective riding tools. Their precarious balancing act ended abruptly when a 52-year-old driver in a car encountered the overloaded scooter. In an instant, the boys were launched from their makeshift chariot at roughly the same speed they were traveling, which can reach over 50 kilometers per hour. 2 of the boys flew directly into oncoming traffic, where they were run over by not 1, but 2 consecutive cars. All 3 suffered severe trauma and were pronounced dead at the scene of the accident. This tragic story serves as a stark reminder that vehicle safety laws exist for good reason, and physics doesn't care how young or invincible you feel. Number 5, William Tell's Last Shot. What's a good way to pass the time with your best friend? A board game? Watching sports? How about recreating a dangerous historical legend after you've been drinking? For our next Darwin Award winners, the answer was definitely the latter. It's April 11th, 2000 in Kentucky, and 2 lifelong friends, 47-year-old Larry and his buddy Silas, have been enjoying some adult beverages together. As the evening wore on, they came up with what seemed, in their alcohol-impaired judgment, to be a brilliant idea. They would recreate the legendary William Tell scene, where the famous Swiss archer was forced to shoot an apple off his son's head to prove his skill. Now, you might think this is the kind of reckless stunt that teenagers pull, but Larry and Silas were grown men approaching the half-century mark, certainly old enough to know better. Being creative sorts, they substituted an empty beer can for the traditional apple. Perhaps they thought this larger target would make the task easier. After all, hitting a beer can should be simpler than hitting a small apple, right? Larry placed the beer can on his head and urged Silas to take the shot. With alcohol coursing through his veins, Silas steadied his aim and pulled the trigger. Unfortunately for both men, Silas's marksmanship wasn't quite up to William Tell standards. He missed the can completely and instead hit his lifelong friend Larry, fatally wounding him. Authorities later reported that the men had indeed been drinking before the shooting. They also noted that the tragic event wasn't connected to an earlier altercation the men had been involved in at a parking lot, just a case of drunken decision-making gone horribly wrong. Remember, folks, legendary tales of skill often remain legendary precisely because most people don't have those extraordinary abilities, especially after a few drinks. Number 4. Polar Bear Plunge. Our next Darwin Award winner demonstrates that even academic intelligence doesn't guarantee common sense, especially when it comes to icy waters. It's January 1st, 2000, in Canada, the first day of the new 1,000-year period. Many people celebrate New Year's Day with a traditional polar bear swim, briefly plunging into frigid waters as a way to start the year with an invigorating jolt. But Adrian, a 38-year-old studying for his doctorate in forestry, took this ritual to an extreme and fatal level. While enjoying a hockey game with friends on Kingsmere Lake, Adrian decided to attempt a polar bear swim between two holes cut in the ice. These openings were only about 2 meters apart, a distance that might seem manageable to a strong swimmer. What Adrian failed to consider was one of the most well-known dangers of swimming under ice. Once beneath the frozen surface, it becomes nearly impossible to locate the exit hole, particularly in the dark, and especially when suffering from rapidly onset hypothermia. Anyone who has seen the film Titanic or read about survival in extreme cold knows that icy water quickly leads to confusion, weakness, and low blood pressure, all effects that would make finding that small opening in the ice even more difficult. Adrian dove into one hole, but never resurfaced from either opening. His New Year's celebration became a grim reminder of nature's unforgiving power, even to those who study it academically. This tragic story shows us that academic knowledge doesn't always translate to survival instincts, and that some traditions are best practiced with extensive safety precautions or avoided altogether. Number 3. Kiss of Death. Sometimes the pursuit of entertainment can lead to tragedy when common sense takes a backseat to excitement, as our next Darwin Award winner discovered. It's March 23rd, 2000, in California. Sean, a 36-year-old biochemist, was thrilled to attend the legendary rock band Kiss on their farewell tour at the Oakland Coliseum. For a devoted fan, this was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to see the iconic face-painted rockers before they hung up their platform boots for good. But as the show progressed, Sean became increasingly dissatisfied with his seat in the top row of the stadium. Despite having a ticket that many fans would have envied, he wanted a better view of the spectacle below. Taking matters into his own hands, Sean climbed a 7-foot wall to gain what he thought would be a superior vantage point. What he didn't realize was that his pursuit of the perfect view would lead to his demise. In a fatal miscalculation, Sean mistook a curtain for a solid wall. When he leaned back against what he thought was solid support, there was nothing there to catch him. He fell backward, plummeting 3 stories and landing on an escalator 100 feet below. Most tragically, the group he had traveled with had no idea he was missing until the concert ended and police began asking questions. That's when they learned of Sean's fatal mistake. A police spokesman later commented with unintentional irony that the site of the accident was a good place to obtain a better view, though clearly not in the way Sean had intended. This sad story reminds us that even highly educated individuals can make fatal errors of judgment when caught up in the excitement of the moment, and that sometimes the best seat in the house is simply the one you're assigned. Number 2. Concrete roll. Our next story proves that teenage desire to impress friends can override basic self-preservation instincts with tragic results. It's July 31st, 2000, in Italy. 15-year-old Enrico and his friends have decided to take a break from the usual European soccer ritual one afternoon. Near their playing field, they discovered some construction equipment, including large concrete tubes used for building sewage system. These massive cylinders, a meter in diameter, caught the boys' attention and sparked an idea for a quick game. In a bid to impress his friends, Enrico agreed to what seemed like a thrilling stunt. He would get inside one of these tubes while his friends rolled it around. Showing at least some awareness of safety, Enrico donned a helmet before climbing into the concrete cylinder. But this precaution would prove woefully inadequate for what was about to happen. As his friends began rolling the heavy tube with Enrico inside, something went catastrophically wrong. The concrete cylinder, not designed for such treatment, broke into several heavy pieces. The massive fragments crushed Enrico's torso, causing severe injuries despite his helmet. Medical team rushed to the scene, arriving an hour later, but their efforts were in vain. Enrico died shortly afterward in a nearby hospital. This heartbreaking story reminds us that construction sites and equipment are not playgrounds, and that safety gear appropriate for one activity, like a helmet for cycling, may be completely inadequate for improvised stunts. Number 1. Power punch. Our #1 Darwin Award winner proves that when hobbies and professions collide, the results can be shockingly fatal. In August 1999 in Georgia, we meet Ian, a fitness fanatic and self-employed electrician living in an English seaside town. Passionate about his health, Ian had recently converted one room of his cottage into a home gym, complete with weights, exercise equipment, and a punching bag suspended from the ceiling by a chain. Little did Ian realize that he had inadvertently created a deadly connection between his two main interests in life. After a Saturday night out carousing with his cousin, Ian returned home eager to show off his new gym. Leading the way, he switched on the lights and, with casual confidence, threw a punch at the hanging bag. In an instant, electricity surged through his body, knocking him to the floor. Death was instantaneous. The investigation revealed the fatal flaw in Ian's setup. He had somehow wired the power supply directly to the metal chain holding the punching bag. His professional knowledge of electricity had failed him in the most ironic way possible. Ian's best friend later commented, "He was a brilliant guy. It's crazy that two major parts of his life contributed to his death." Indeed, the combination of his profession and his passion had created the perfect circuit for disaster. One might say he was quite literally shockingly fit. Bonus entry, a fell death. Like a scene from a cartoon gone tragically wrong, our bonus story features a man whose lumberjack skills couldn't save him from a fundamental oversight. In February 22, 2000, in Pennsylvania, a man was clearing timber from his property in Chestnut Hill Township. As an amateur lumberjack, he was focused on the tree he was cutting down, but failed to notice a critical detail in his surroundings. There were other trees leaning against his target. When the weight of the neighboring trees pushed his tree over in the expected direction, he realized the danger and attempted to run. But fate had one more obstacle in store for him. He slipped on the icy snow and fell directly in the path of the looming trunk. The massive tree landed on him with exactly the result you might expect, adding him to our list of those who learned too late that nature deserves respect and careful observation. This tragic incident serves as a reminder that when working with dangerous tools and massive natural objects, awareness of your complete surroundings, not just what's directly in front of you, can make the difference between life and death. And there you have it, 10 plus 1 of humanity's finest moments of poor decision-making. Also, smash that like button, hit subscribe, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss our next episode, where we'll bring you more tales of evolution in action. And if you know someone who could use a lesson in common sense, share this video with them. You might just save a life. As always, stay smart, stay safe, and remember, Darwin is watching. This is Wow Amazing, signing off until next time.